The knock on the door felt louder than it should have, echoing through Ethan Cole's chest like a warning he didn't know how to read. 10 years away had taught him many things: how to work 16-hour shifts without complaint, how to sleep in cramped apartments with strangers who became brothers, how to count days by paychecks and video calls. But it hadn't prepared him for this moment. Standing on a quiet suburban street in Oregon, with a small suitcase at his feet and his son's backpack slung over his shoulder, Ethan felt like a man stepping into a life that might no longer have room for him. 10 years earlier, he had left with a promise and a plan. Lily had stood at the airport holding their infant son, Noah, wrapped in a blue blanket. Ethan had kissed Noah's forehead and told Lily he would return once he had earned enough abroad to give them a future that didn't involve choosing between rent and groceries. Lily had smiled through tears and said she would wait. They hadn't been married, but they had shared something real: late-night dreams, small jokes, and a belief that love could survive distance. Life, however, has a way of stretching promises thin. Ethan's years overseas were a blur of construction sites and cold mornings. He sent money every month, never missing one. He watched Noah grow through a screen, marking milestones by shaky video calls. First steps, first words, first day of school. Each time, he felt pride braided tightly with guilt. He was providing, yes, but he wasn't there. When his contract finally ended, Ethan didn't hesitate. He packed his things, said goodbye to the country that had taken a decade of his life, and boarded a plane home. At the airport in Portland, Noah stood waiting, taller than Ethan imagined, eyes cautious but curious. The hug they shared was awkward at first, then fierce, as if both were afraid the other might disappear again. Now, standing at Lily's house, Ethan adjusted his jacket and knocked again. The door opened slowly. It wasn't Lily who greeted him. A teenage girl stood there, about 15, with Lily's dark hair and Ethan's unmistakable eyes. Her expression mirrored his shock, as if she were looking at a ghost. "Can I help you?" she asked. Ethan's throat tightened. I'm looking for Lily Harper." The girl hesitated, then turned her head. "Mom, someone's here. Mom." The word landed like a fracture. Lily appeared behind her, and for a moment, time folded in on itself. She looked older, lines etched by responsibility rather than age, but it was her. Her eyes widened when she saw Ethan, then flicked to Noah standing beside him. "Ethan?" she said softly. Noah shifted closer to his father. "Dad." Lily swallowed. "You came back." "I said I would," Ethan replied, though the words felt weak now. They were invited inside. The house was warm, lived in, filled with the quiet chaos of a family. Shoes by the door, framed photos on the wall, a half-finished science project on the table. Ethan noticed pictures immediately. Lily, Noah, and the girl, together, smiling. A family portrait that didn't include him. "My name is Ava," the girl said, breaking the silence. "I'm your daughter." The room tilted. Ethan sat down before his knees gave out. "My daughter." Lily's eyes filled with tears. "Ethan, I didn't know how to tell you. When you left, I was already pregnant. I found out a month later. I tried calling, emailing, your number changed, and the company said you'd moved sites. I thought you'd chosen to disappear." "I never would have," Ethan said hoarsely. "Never. I believed that at first," Lily whispered. "But years passed. I had 2 children to raise alone. I did what I could." Ethan looked at Ava, who stood quietly, arms crossed not in anger but in uncertainty. 10 years. 10 years of birthdays missed, scraped knees unseen, stories untold. His heart shattered not from betrayal, but from loss. The kind that doesn't scream, only aches. Noah broke the tension. "So, I have a sister." Ava smiled faintly. "Yeah, looks like it." That small exchange, simple and innocent, stitched something fragile back together. The days that followed were difficult. Ethan moved into a small rented room nearby and began the slow work of becoming present. He attended Noah's school meetings, learned Ava's favorite subjects, and listened more than he spoke. Lily kept her distance, burdened by her own regrets, but she didn't shut him out. One evening, as rain tapped against the windows, Ethan finally spoke what had been weighing on him. I can't get back the years I lost. But I don't want to lose any more. I'm not here to blame you, Lily, or to rewrite the past. I just want to be a father. To both of them. Lily studied him for a long moment. Being here is harder than sending money, she said quietly. Are you sure you're ready for that? Ethan nodded. I've been ready for 10 years. I just didn't know where home was. Change didn't come overnight. Ava was cautious, testing promises with silence. Noah struggled with sharing his father. Lily wrestled with trust. But Ethan stayed. He showed up. He listened. He failed sometimes and apologized every time. Months later, on a clear autumn afternoon, Ethan stood on the sidelines of a school field, cheering as Noah scored his first goal. Ava waved from the bleachers, a smile finally unguarded. Lily stood beside Ethan, not as a lover, but as someone who had survived the same storm. Ethan felt something he hadn't felt in a decade: peace. He realized then that heartbreak isn't always the end of love. Sometimes, it's the beginning of responsibility. The truth he found in Lily's house had shattered his heart, yes, but from the broken pieces, something stronger had formed. Not the life he planned, but the life he needed. And for the first time in 10 years, Ethan Cole wasn't just a provider watching from afar. He was home.